So many forces involved here. The Shiite rebels, who are known as the Houthis, they are backed by Iran. They've pushed further south and captured Taiz, the country's third largest city. President Obama recently held Yemen up as a success story in the war on terror, and look at the streets of those cities now.
Our guest is the foreign affairs and economic correspondent for the Associated Press based at United Nations headquarters. Welcome Ahmed Fathi to MidPoint. Ahmed, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ed, for having me.
Let's discuss what has happened today. There was an earlier report from Associated Press that said the president of Yemen had left the country by boat. There was a follow-up report talking from Reuters saying that he was still in Aden. And now we have another one saying that he is no longer at his residence. No further details on his location. So in other words, we do not know where the president of Yemen is. Would you be shocked at all to find out that he has left the country and pretty much the country has fallen into complete anarchy?
First, I'm not an Associated Press reporter. I'm affiliated. I'm an Associated Press contractor. Just a quick correction. Second, I would not be shocked or surprised if President Hadi is out of Aden. Anyway, I'm expecting to see him surfacing again during the Arab Summit meeting in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt in a couple of days. And there are talks by his foreign minister, Riyad Yassin, into calling on Arab nations to establish a force primarily consistent of the GCC countries, the Gulf Cooperation Council, and also they're trying to get Egypt into it. However, there is no confirmation from the GCC or from Egypt that they're are ready to interfere militarily. And this is quite a turning point, his disappearance. Houthis are advancing in the direction of Aden. However, I have my doubts that they are going to do the final take of the largest economical city, or the second largest city in Yemen, for mostly geopolitical and geostrategic reasons concerning their main backer, which is Iran, that they continuously deny that they have anything to do with them, which is not the truth on the ground.
Well, I want to get to Iran here in just a little bit, but let me focus on this with potentially the president being out of the country, though. We hear a lot of reports about Yemen about to descend into a civil war. Ahmed, aren't we already at that point? It would seem that this country is, from a lot of the reports that we see, the video we see, this country is completely out of control at this point. No one's running the shop.
It is in a civil war. I don't know, and I don't know really what's the criteria that they are not classifying it as such. There is an internationally recognized president. He's been ousted from the main capital, Sana'a. He moved the capital to Aden in the south, and several countries have moved their embassies and their diplomatic representations from Sana'a into Aden. There is quite how I say, a terminology difference, but the reality on the ground, yes, there is a civil war in Yemen. Yes, it is developing into a very dangerous situation, not only for the countries in the Arab Peninsula. There is Saudi Arabia, of course, and there is the Sultanate of Oman, but it's also endangering the international maritime routes that's connecting the Indian Ocean to the Red Sea and to the Suez Canal.
Well, let me ask you this. I've only got a few seconds left before we take a break, come back, but less than a minute left. Let me ask you regarding this. The Arab League is going to discuss this crisis on Thursday, the crisis in Yemen. Do you expect them to do anything substantive?
That's a question yet to be answered. If the Arab League is going to take unilateral position against the Security Council, because the Security Council have not authorized any action, in spite there is a request from Yemen Foreign Minister to intervention under Chapter 7. The Security Council, the consensus in the Council till today is not favoring this option. But we will have to tune in and see what the Arab League is going to come with.
You wouldn't be surprised, though, if nothing comes of it, correct?
I'm not surprised of anything coming at this stage of the crisis.
That's what I thought, specifically when we deal with a lot of these different groups. Ahmed, please stand by just a moment. We'll be right back. An airbase in Yemen by U.S. forces evacuated. How does this impact our counterterrorism operations in the region? And more importantly, we talked about a war between ancient enemies. Put Saudi Arabia on a collision course with Iran? We'll talk about that possibility when we come back on MidPoint. Before we continue, I want to bring you some late-breaking news here. Apparently, we have told you earlier today that there will be a press conference later today by the U.S. government regarding Bo Bergdahl. The attorney for the U.S. Army sergeant has now told CBS News that his client will be charged with desertion. He will be hit with 2 charges from military prosecution, or from military prosecutors, I should say, as desertion. He will be charged on 1 count of desertion and 1 count of misbehavior before the enemy. That is according to CBS News. The government press conference comes up at about 3:30 Eastern Time, and we will continue to follow this story for you right here on Newsmax. All right, let's get back to what's happening overseas right now. Ahmed Fathi joins us once again on MidPoint as we talk about what is happening in Yemen at this point. Ahmed, let me ask a very straightforward question here. In the news that we hear that the president has apparently left the country, and what we see going on, is this country now at a point where it is unsavable? Right now, it is just going to be this way, and it is going to be in a state of civil war and anarchy for some time to come.
I agree with this point that there is now the future is quite uncertain for Yemen. There is civil war will continue. And to add to that there is also the dangers coming from Al-Qaeda in the Arab Peninsula, which the U.S. intelligence services have done dealt quite significantly with them in the past few years. And we add to that the ISIL or Daesh, the new trend in the international terrorism groups. They have claimed responsibility for the bombing that happened last week in Sana'a and in Taiz, and that claimed more than 100 lives in that bombing attack. So we have tribesmen, we have Houthis, we have Al-Qaeda, we have Daesh. It's a mixture for disaster, and frankly, I don't see how it's going to be possible to resolve this situation in a political fashion. The Houthis, just to clarify, that the Houthis used to be in power in Yemen till the 60s. And it took a war by Egypt at that time and cost tens of thousands of Egyptian young men's life, lost their life in Yemen, to break them through from the ruling of the imams of the Houthis.
So,
now
let me ask. Let me ask, I only got a few minutes left. I want to make sure we get everything in here, though, but let me bring to bear this. There's a discussion here that Saudi Arabia is considering sending military forces to Yemen to indirectly confront their rival, Iran. Now, we've heard other reports that say the Saudis are just going to put the military on one side of the border. It's going to be there strictly defensively. Are we looking at the possibility, because Iran is spreading throughout the region, that we could see a battle between Saudi Arabia and Iran? Would that not be disastrous?
Definitely it will be mega disaster if the two powers in the Middle East clashed into a direct war. However, the reports that I have seen that the Saudis have been putting their heavy armory on the border, which is quite expected. There is nothing to fear about. They are acting within their legitimate right inside their borders to protect it. Now that their southern neighbor has going through this turmoil, we will see at one point, if the Iranians are going to stop arming the Houthi rebels with arms. There are ships reported unloading tons of hardware heading to the Houthis, in addition to the former President Ali Abdullah Saleh military units that's loyal to him are joining forces with the Houthis. Are we going to see the return of Ali Abdullah Saleh once more? I doubt that Ali Abdullah Saleh, the Houthis will allow him. They are just using him at this point. But this is a very unpredictable group of rebels, the Houthis. They also, more than once, they acting impulsively without any vision or plan, and they revert their position. So it's a huge mess. What we hope to see is a stronger position from the Security Council in this regard, since it's not just affecting the territory of Yemen, but it's also affecting the international maritime routes that's going from the Indian Ocean to the Red Sea and the Suez Canal to the Mediterranean.
Something else that we really haven't even talked about at this point, simply because that will involve a lot of trade, that involves a lot of economy, and that involves a lot of money. And then again, you're talking about naval surfaces.
Military ships also use these routes.
You're talking about naval as well, and military ships using the routes. Unfortunately, we are all out of time, and it is a mess, and we're going to have to follow this because America will be affected. Ahmed, Fathi, thanks so much for your time, my friend. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Ed.
My pleasure. The harmful effects of smoking while pregnant, seen in real time, and the diagnosis that's even difficult for doctors to talk about if indeed you were to go to them and the doctor knew you suffered from it, but many simply don't want to tell you. That word and a whole lot more coming up when we continue right here on MidPoint.